Hello, everybody. Let's start. First of all, welcome to this informative session on the Master in Data Science. My name is Oscar Romero. I'm the Vice Dean of Postgraduate Studies, and today we are going to discuss the details of this master. We will have a presentation and then a set of questions that you may want to ask. Those of you that are online, I'm assuming that you can hear me well, right? If someone can write in the chat just to confirm that the sound is good and everything is correct. Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Let's start. The first thing to inform all of you that this session is going to be recorded. The objective is that later we will make this public in our website, so later if you want to just recap anything that was said or look for any information, you will be able to do it, okay? So from today, what we are going to start is with these topics. Basically, this is a master with quite a large amount of people from outside Spain applying. So first of all, we will introduce a bit the Facultad Informática Barcelona, so the faculty, then explain the master itself, and then the basic comments like the enrollment procedure and grants and aids, okay? Some frequently asked questions and so on and so forth. So let's start about the university. The Faculty of Informatics belongs to the Universitat Politécnica de Catalunya, which is a higher public institution. This institution works in the fields of architecture, science, and engineering, and it's a large university, as I will show in some indicators right now. Also public, with strong values in sustainability, equal opportunities, social responsibility, and cooperation and solidarity. Okay. So as I told you, UPC is a large university. As you can see here, it has more than 23,000 bachelor students, but there are quite interesting facts in these indicators that I would like to highlight, especially for you as a potential master students. The first thing is that if you check, the proportion of master and PhD students compared to the bachelor is pretty high in this university. So there are more than 7,000 between master and PhD. And this is because this is a university very much focused on research and innovation. Another indicator that shows this trend is if you see the turnover for R&D projects in 2021, UPC raised 72 million euro in funds in research and development with strong connections with companies. And finally, the other interesting indicator that also can impact your stay as a master's student is basically internationalization. So UPC is an international a university with a strong international vocation, so it means that we have a lot of connections with universities abroad, and this is one of the things that you may want to benefit with, because basically you will be able to do a stay abroad as part of the master. So as I said, this is about UPC and the Faculty of Informatics is relatively new one, so it was created in the 77-78, okay, when the first academic year that started. So only 40 years ahead of this time. But in this time, the faculty has become one of the reference institutions in informatics in Europe. Basically, we have set the pace in many of the bachelors and masters that we have developed that were later used in other universities or were used as a reference for other universities. Since then, we've been the spearhead of innovation in informatics, not only in Europe, but also locally, is one of the main universities or faculties generating all the workforce needed for computer science. No? So as a Faculty of Informatics, our mission, obviously, is to provide education in informatics engineering. So this is basically, we have two main objectives here. First, to promote the dissemination of information technologies to contribute to the development of society in many aspects, or in any aspect, because basically informatics is an instrumental engineering, okay? So basically it's used everywhere. And the second point that it's foundational in our faculty is that we provide a strong background to our students. It means that we go deep in the foundations so that later you will be able to stretch all this knowledge with lifelong learning, which is essential in computer science, right? So for this, we prioritize lasting concepts, and we also promote transversal competences like being effective on your work, teamwork, and also the ability to be independent on your learning, such as being self-sufficient when studying on your own. Okay. So the faculty is located in one of the ends of the city of Barcelona. Luckily, Barcelona is not that big, so it means that from the blue point to most of the main points in the city, you have, like for example, to the city center, around 30 minutes in metro. So it's well connected with metro, and basically, if you want to know more, this is the address. You can play with it. If you want to know more about the faculty itself, we have our website, which is this one here, and we have a contact email for whatever doubt you may have, which is this one here. I will go later into it again. And also, we are pretty active in social networks with our community team. So basically, you may want to follow us in Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or Instagram. One of the things that we will link later is that this video that is being recorded will be available in YouTube. Okay. Let's go now to the details of the Master of Data Science, which is the main objective of today's presentation. So the main point typically to raise here is why this Masters on Data Science in general is leading nowadays the computer science world. No? Basically because the concept of data is becoming very relevant nowadays, and the world economy is nowadays driven or very highly affected by the role of data. To show this with some numbers, as you can see here, for example, in all the developed economies like the European Union, the States, or Japan, since 2014, data science has been the sector with higher expected growth. And some of the most optimistic forecasts in 2014 were claiming for a sustained growth of 20% per year, which is a lot, right? The most pessimistic ones were around 12%. So now looking from 2014 till 2020, which is the last numbers we have, we can say we were in the most optimistic forecast. It means that the data science world has been growing massively in the last years. And in this sense, if you look at the one of the reports that the European Commission developed, because the European Commission created one of the main pillars of strategies for the future that was called the data-driven economy strategy, that basically is how to develop a whole economy based on data, and what they call the European data economy. They were claiming very bold numbers. For example, in 2019, the data-driven economy was impacting the economies in the European Union and then the UK in 400 billion euro. Which is a massive amount of money just affecting this area of computer science. And they estimated the year growth of 7.6%, okay, when the whole IT area was growing at a factor of around 5%, so much above the average. Another interesting point that they raised in this report is that the data professionals, so people working with data, represented the 3.6% of the workforce of the whole Europe. Okay, and with an increase of 5.5% per year, okay, which is again quite a lot. The most interesting thing you may want to hear here, probably as a potential student of the data science master, is that they also identified a gap of unfilled positions of around 500,000 people, okay, in Europe. So again, the options of data, as many times kind of questions that you pose, is data something that kind of a hype that is going to pass by and so on? This is not, okay? Data is here to stay. It's transforming the economy. It's just the opposite. The companies that will not adapt to this new trend, they will suffer it, okay? Because it's a way that it's transforming completely the economy. Basically, there are two big, like the European Commission and the OECD, that they stated. This comes from two different reports from these two organisms. First, that the big data and data science are the key pillars in the 21st century, or the economies are going to grow from this way. But also, they remark that the data-driven innovation is key for growth and well-being. So it's a key aspect to develop the society, okay? So I hope that with this, I could convince you that the future of role of data is out of question. This is not a hype that is going to pass with a few years. And specifically in the same report I was mentioning before, the EU data market and data economy was estimated like this in 2025. They had three scenarios, okay? The baseline scenario was that the data market was going to grow 1.5% GDP per year. Okay, this is the baseline. So this was an accumulated one of 5.8 for a total of 550 billions. Okay, and then they also estimated a high growth scenario, an optimistic one, with a plus 2.1 GDP cumulative growth. So it depends on how the Europe is going, no? So in this case, they were estimating a growth rate of 11.5% for a total of 827 billion euros. Okay. They also came up with a challenging scenario with stalled growth, and basically this growth would be of 0.9 of the GDP. And then even in this case, they were estimating a 3% increase. So the question about data is out of question. Whatever scenario they were considering, it was above these numbers. And the reality, because some of this was estimated a couple of years ago, is showing that we are above the baseline and below the high growth scenario, but still above these numbers. The key fact is that even in the worst scenario, as I said, there were almost 500,000 jobs unfilled, and I will explain now why, because data science has been around for a while, right? So data is not a new thing that came here. So one of the questions that you may have is, why still there is no enough people to cover all these positions? It's because it's not easy to find this kind of profile, as I will discuss in a few minutes. But before going there, why data is so relevant? Because basically it's affecting any field out there. So like computer science, it's instrumental. It means that with the right data, you can estimate whatever you want in whatever field. So you can improve healthcare, you can improve transport systems, you can create new and more accurate products and services, you can reduce cost, you can improve sustainability and energy efficiency. So the options are unlimited. It just depends on the kind of data you have and what you can do with this data, right? The analysis you want to do. The impact of data is so high that in the last years, we have had new sectors that emerge to just simply override the traditional ones, no? So now we talk about e-health, which is about all these new trends or data-based systems that based on data, they may predict if someone is able to, or a candidate to have cancer in the future or develop a certain kind of disease, right? Concepts like smart cities, smart spaces, all these are related with gathering data, analyzing data, and making decisions. E-banking, right? When we go by the streets, we see that every time more and more banks are closing their traditional positions in the streets, and they are moving heavily to e-banking, right? So this is interesting because the more that they can analyze how people use their money, you can make more interesting decisions, right? So e-banking in the end is a move towards this direction as well. But maybe you are not that aware that data has also transformed some very traditional fields, like for example, the video game industry. In Barcelona, we have quite a healthy video game industry, and some of them heavily shifted towards data. So it means that nowadays video games or new movies like Netflix, no, these kind of platforms, they are not created from artistic people who have nice ideas. What they have is data about what people like or they don't like, and they create new products exactly following what people like or they don't like. No? So this is heavily affected by the data that they are gathering. And finally, of course, industry. Industry, the famous so-called Industry 4.0 is the industry where you are considering data and you are just making decisions based on data. No? So this machine is likely to get broken next week or not. So if it's highly probable that it's going to break, maybe I can already replace some aspects of the machine just to avoid stopping my production for 2 or 3 days, right? The bad news for the society, not that much for you interested in data science, right, is that all these reports are consistently reporting a big gap between demand and supply, okay? What they call the skillful data scientists. So these reports blame the current rigid educative system that they are not providing the right data scientists, right? And this is the main reason why still we have so high numbers of data science positions not yet covered. So what they claim is that first, a data scientist must be a multidisciplinary person, right? So it means that this person needs to have a strong knowledge about data management, but also about data analytics, and also acknowledge from the business side what is the value of all the things that you are doing with your data. Okay. On top of that, data scientists must be able to write code and create systems, because this needs to go to production. This needs to be somewhere else and impact the production and the systems of the company. So in the end, what you need is just these people are capable to code and create systems. Okay. If you look at the current data science education system, this is not completely followed. So most of these programs, they either focus on data management or on data analytics, but they don't mingle well in all these combinations, right? But the good news is that if you manage to really create a good profile, you have a lot of good prospects in front of you, right? So the data science world was called by the Harvard Business Reporting, what you most probably have heard for now, is the sexiest job of the 21st century. Okay, so basically they were claiming that the salaries and the kind of roles that you have behind this kind of jobs is well above the average of jobs that you can find out there. The other big news for you, again, is that salaries are much higher than any other IT sector. This is estimated between 50% or 70% above the average, depending on the source and the kind of sector you are comparing to within the IT sector. And the interesting thing, for me at least, why I like data science, is that it's basically an inherent, innovative, and research-oriented work. So you always need to think what your data can provide with added value. If you repeat what others are doing, what is the added value, right? You need to come with something new that is really adding value to your company and to your position. So in this sense, what we are going to provide and what we designed this master is basically to foster the students with this multidisciplinary education, meeting the skills need to become a successful data scientist. So the learning outcomes of our master basically are mainly summarized here. First, a data scientist must be able to identify and apply the most suitable data management methods and processes, first to govern and manage the whole data lifecycle. Since the data is ingested into the system, stored, processed, and prepared for the analysis. Then you make the analysis and make your own models just to make decisions, right? And this must include structured and unstructured data. So most of the data nowadays created is unstructured. So text, video, images, we need to also analyze this kind of information, right? And so it's not only about traditional data mining that assume tabular data, it's something more, okay? It's this unstructured data that we need to also include in the whole data lifecycle. The second one is, of course, the data analysis. The mathematical part of the problem is essential to extract patterns that are not obvious so that you can make decisions out of it, okay? In this sense, knowledge extraction and data visualization is also important because you also need to communicate how the conclusions that you extract from your data analysis and visualize them for third people, right? And on top of that, you need to be able to create systems that do the data management and the data analysis part and put these models into production. So it means that you should have a piece of software, or whatever, that has a model that receives some data and spits some result, makes a classification, makes a prediction, whatever, okay? All of this in big data science projects that you must be able to design and execute, right? So it's adding value to companies or organizations. So and the syllabus of our master can be found here, and you have all the detail in this link. Just to let you know that this master, I've been claiming that you need to be a skillful data scientist. Just wanted to let you know that this local master that we have here at FIP is the implementation of the Big Data Management Analytics BDMA master. This is an Erasmus Mundus master funded by the European Commission. Ourselves as a faculty participate in BDMA. And one of the things that we did as part of developing this master is to create our local version of this master at FIP in the form of the Master of Data Science, okay? And this is what guarantees excellence, because this is a program funded by the European Commission. We have the excellence label from them. And basically, it's been funded by 12 years. So it's the reference master in data science nowadays in Europe. So the data science master at FIP is the local implementation following exactly the same principle as this Erasmus Mundus master. So going into detail now, let me show you the curriculum of the master, just to show you with detail what it's covering. So basically, here at the top, you can see that the master is 2 years, okay? It has 54 compulsory credits that you need to follow, then 36 elective and 30 credits of master thesis, right? So checking more in detail, this is the first semester. The first semester is meant to homogenize all the profiles that arrive to the master. So this is a master in data science. It means that the kind of profiles that we get here is pretty heterogeneous. We have computer scientists, we have people coming from mathematics or physics, we have people coming from traditional engineering schools. They have a strong mathematical background, like telecommunications or civil engineering schools, right? So at the beginning, this first semester, what it's going to do is try to homogenize all these profiles. So we have 2 courses that are what we call foundational courses. The first one is the basic statistical information needed to follow the master, what we call statistical inference and modeling. Okay? The second one is concepts on computer science, algorithms, data structures, and databases. Especially in the second one, depending on your background and your bachelor, you may find different tracks within the same course. This is to guarantee that people who are not, for example, majoring in computer science get all this knowledge before going on with the master. Okay? As I told you, this master is going to leverage you in data analysis and data management. So at the end of the master, you are going to have a very strong foundations in computer science too. And then we have 3 courses basically on foundations of data science. The first one is data warehousing. Data warehousing is basically the way to go for doing descriptive data analysis. Basically, it's kind of generating statistical descriptions of the data you have just to make decisions, right? This is the simplest way to do analysis. And then we start with 2 different shapes of the analysis. The first one is multivariate analysis. This is the cornerstone of the analysis of this kind of systems. Basically, I have a set of variables. Can I predict the other one? Okay. So how to do this kind of analysis that is called multivariate. And the last one is, instead of considering data as a data set, right, a lot of instances that you have row-wise, what if I have processes? Because companies many times they don't have just a single table of data. They have a whole process that goes through different stages, and what you may want to analyze is the whole process, right? This changes a bit the rules of the game, because then it's not purely data set oriented, it's process oriented, and this has its own techniques to analyze processes. If you go here and click, you can see the contents of each course. So my advice is that you go course by course and check the content and what you are going to learn as a main outcome of each of these courses. After the first semester, which is kind of foundational, okay, we have the second semester that goes deeper into data science main aspects. The first one is big data management. So it means when you have a lot of data with a lot of variety and a very high speed rates arriving to you, how to deal with it. Okay, so here basically is distributed data processing and basically streaming data, this kind of stuff, how to deal with large amount of data, okay, in an efficient way. This is clusters of machines working as a one, right? The second one, semantic data management, is to annotate data with metadata so that you have information. So we are making decisions all the time with data, no? So the point is, can we just annotate data with rich annotation so that I can make richer analysis and further analysis based on this data? So to do this, there are specific techniques to enrich this data and obtain knowledge and go a step beyond, no? The third one is another foundational course, which is the machine learning course. Basically, here what you have is all the foundations on machine learning. And the other one that is mandatory is mining and structured data. Mining and structured data is basically a course about how to do management and analysis of highly unstructured data, basically text and images. Okay. So here in this course, you are introduced to some aspects, for example, basic transformations that you need to do on text to be able to analyze it, and then on very advanced techniques in order to do the analysis. You may have heard right now with all this ChatGPT hype, right? What is a transformer? Okay, so what we see in this course is basically the way to go nowadays for doing analysis of text and image is deep learning. So in this course, what we see is these advanced architectures based on deep learning to do advanced analysis on highly unstructured data. So these are the 9 courses that are basic and everybody must take. From here on, you have 1 course during the second semester and the whole third semester to take elective courses. During the elective courses, you must create your own profile, right? So here we have 3 blocks of elective courses, what we call the deep dive in specific aspects. These are foundational aspects you may want to be interested in. The second one is data science applied to a certain scenario, transportation, health, whatever. And the third one is innovation and research. As I said, data science has a very strong component in innovation and research, so there are specific courses on this aspect. So here you have some of the courses that we are offering as elective. The deep dive, which is the biggest block, is advanced topics. Some of these courses read here as elective, but later when you arrive to the master, you will see that there are some of them that are heavily suggested to be taken because they are kind of mandatory for a data scientist. For example, we have courses in advanced statistical modeling. Here what we cover is time series and Bayesian statistics. So these 2 things for a data scientist is not really elective. It's kind of a mandatory course to take. But then we have many others: optimization techniques for data mining, how to do this part of the optimization of these techniques, advanced machine learning. So here we go deeper into deep learning and kernels, support vector machines. Advanced multivariate analysis, here it goes into the statistical part, going deeper. And then we have other courses that are more computer scientists. These 4 are clearly in the mathematical side, right? So algorithms for data mining, because the typical challenge of statistics and mathematics is how to write these codes in an efficient way in a machine, right? Because sometimes they are very, from a computational point of view, very expensive. So this course goes deep into this kind of algorithms that are efficient implementing very popular data mining techniques. Other ways to extract information from unstructured sources, this is called information retrieval. This is a whole field that basically is extracting data from graphs, web, and these kind of things. This is also very related to the concept of recommender systems that is very popular nowadays. Okay. And then we have 3 other courses. The cloud computing and big data analytics is more about infrastructure, how to use big and large clouds and services like the ones that you can see every day in the news, no? Like Amazon, Google, and all these Azure systems, how to use them and do all the things that you have seen during the master in this kind of external providers. And 2 others, one on complex and social networks. This is one of the main data models that we have out there nowadays in data science is graphs, because graphs allows us to exploit the topology. So typically graph theory can be used to exploit or represent many aspects. This is very much related with social networks, no? Because social networks can be represented as a massive big graph, and you can do a lot of interesting analysis there just to learn about your own customers. And finally, data analysis and knowledge discovery. This is a methodological course, how to put into practice data science projects into companies. Okay. The second block is about applications of data science for specific domains. We have 3 here: bioinformatics and statistical genetics, which is a pretty trendy way to apply data science; human language engineering, how to use data science for analyzing human language; and finally, transportation, okay, logistics and movement. There are 2 other courses that are not here, but were approved recently, and it will be available for you as students. Then we will have 2 more courses here. One is data visualization, okay, so advanced techniques to do visualization of data. And the other one is what we call machine learning ops, which is basically how to manage the data management aspects of machine learning systems, very large systems exploiting models. For innovation and research, basically we have 4 courses. The first one is a business course to assess how viable is your idea in a real scenario. No? Can I create a startup out of this idea, or this project that I have in mind is viable from a business perspective? The second one is ethics. This is, again, one of the basic things, no? In data science. Data science, many people say that data is like a gun, no? You can do a lot of good things with it, but also a lot of bad things with it, no? So ethics is one of the basic things to work on this. This interdisciplinary innovation project is a very specific course where you put into practice in a real project your skills that you got. Basically, here you are mingled from people who come from a business perspective and then try to discuss with them, understand the needs that they have, and create a real data science project out of it, okay? So it's a kind of a project-based course. And the last one is for people mainly interested in a PhD after the master. Here you have a course where you can learn how to do research based on data science. So what is the typical way to find literature, how to read it and interpret it, and also to write literature. Okay, so basically this is the structure of the master. So please take your time to follow this link after we make public this video and check all the courses and the details. And obviously, when we reach to the questions, if you have questions, I will be glad to answer them. So another way to show what you can do at the end is exemplary master thesis that we had in this project, right? So the first one is from Hongping Feng. What she created here was basically a system to assess in a new and innovative way cardiovascular diseases and assess if you are in risk or not, okay? So basically this was done with a hospital and where they were just trying to gather data about different aspects that were not considered in the past and see if they could predict this in a better way, okay? This is a good example because there is a lot of projects that go in the health direction. I think that one of the fields that is going to be massively affected by data science in the near future is health. The second one is wind pattern analysis applied to coastal areas. This was a project by Muad Musabi that it was done in the framework of the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games. Basically, that was an idea, a collaboration with UPC, tried to develop a tool that assess people how to benefit or use the wind patterns when sailing. Okay, so there was a way to record and store data related to the winds and then how to make decisions out of it. Another one related with transport, in this case traffic forecasting. Typically traffic forecasting in the past was massively done with simulations. But now we can put sensors in our roads, no? If you go to Ronda de Dalt, for example, in Barcelona, it's full of sensors. And there are companies that you can go there and buy this information. You can know how many vehicles are going through Ronda de Dalt every day. This is information we have. So based on this information from all these sensors that has been created, how can I predict in a more accurate way how traffic is going to behave? Because tomorrow is raining, because Barca is playing tomorrow, whatever. Okay. So this was the objective of this TFM by Juan José Vázquez Jiménez that was created also with in lab here at the faculty. Another interesting one by Vicente Pérez Gregory was this tool, a data science tool, to understand when a person wants to perform a step with an exoskeleton. Okay, so this is one of the most popular spin-offs that UPC has created that you may have seen in the news. No? That this exoskeleton for people who have problems with mobility, that they really can walk with these artificial legs. So the idea is, from the information that you get from this person, no, from their neurons or their nervous system, how to know that this person wants to perform a step or not. Okay, that was the objective of the this TFM. Another trend, deep neural networks. And deep neural networks have a big problem, is that it's very difficult to explain why they are proposing something. So one of the main research trends nowadays is to explain why a neural network or a deep neural network is proposing to do something. Okay. This is not easy because basically these systems are big black boxes that it's difficult to know why they are proposing something. Okay. So now the effort is in explaining why they are proposing a certain outcome. This was TFM by Alfaro Parafita. And finally, just to propose another way, because when we talk about data science, people typically think of data sets, but sometimes you don't have data sets. You have processes, you have graphs, and we also must be able to analyze this kind of other formats. This is the project by Josep Sanchez Ferreres that he just developed a way to do process modeling, but abstracting himself from the domain and trying to extract conclusions or patterns that work in any domain. based on annotations done in natural language processing. So you had a description in natural language processing, similar to what ChatGPT does, right? So from this description, try to extract what the user is trying to do, and then perform some analysis on the processes, okay? So the while and afterwards, so around 80% of our students work or do research while studying. This is a heavy question that they typically have. This is a field that you are not going to have problems to find a job, okay? Just the opposite. Many times my advice here is take your time. You are taking most probably your last degree, so take your time to learn properly, to make the most out of it. You always have time to work afterwards. And then my advice is, of course, do additional things. Stretch your CV. It's important during your master, you add value to your CV, but do it in a well-thought way, okay? Because, as I said, around 80% of our students work or do research. There are a lot of centers around the university that they do research, and our students are working there. For example, the Barcelona Supercomputing Center is one of, our master is one of the main feeders of people for BSc. And we have strong connections with companies in Barcelona. I mean, the good thing is that there is a big hub in data science in Barcelona. There are a lot of companies working in this field. So, I mean, there is a good flow of people going to companies that I will later tell you how to do internships from the faculty side. Interestingly as well, we have effective 100% employability after the master, so everybody who wants to work really works, okay? And we have alumni spread all over the world. So we have a master that allows you to do a strong internationalization approach, because the cohorts have a quite significant amount of people who are not locals, and also because you will see that studying abroad or going abroad is something that is pretty easy in our master. You have here some data now for the internationalization side. So less than 45% of the students come from Barcelona-rich area, so quite massively shifted to internationalization, and around 30% of students perform international mobility. Okay. The usual positions you get afterwards. So this is the kind of jobs you can apply, or typically you may apply afterwards. No? Data scientist, data analyst, chief data officer, which is a new kind of position that you can find in companies, pretty trendy nowadays. Data engineer, knowledge engineer, data architect, data researcher, basically whatever related to data. Okay, this is the main trend. And just to either, of course, there are roles or positions that have a higher perspective related to the data management side, and some others to data analysis. For example, typically when you read data engineer, it's someone working more into the data management side more than in the data analysis. Nevertheless, you need to understand the other side. Whatever side you take from the data perspective, you really need to understand how the others work, because basically these projects need the both sides. Okay. So aspects that I will discover now after the main part of the Master of Data Science. One of the advices that I always give you when you start a master is that a master is not a bachelor. So it means that you should not just take the master as to take some courses, take a degree, and I'm done. Enrich your CV when doing a master. This is important. This will give you a step ahead of others when going to do research, when going to a company. So the question is, how can I enrich my CV beyond purely the courses, right? So the first one is with internships, okay? So we have, in our own jargon, we call this Convenis de Colaboració Universitat-Empresa, CCE. This is just to create internships, or to go and do internships at companies. We have a website with all the details here. This is the link, and this is a snapshot of the website. Here we have the information for companies, for the students, and the regulations. Importantly, all the internships at our faculty are paid. We do not accept internships that are not paid. Okay, and there is a minimum amount per hour. So being a master student, the minimum we accept is €11 per hour, not below that. Okay, this is not a problem. Okay, just the opposite. We have a lot of companies signing CCEs with the faculty, I would say that it's the other way around. So you don't need to be concerned about this, because sometimes people tell me, well, if I need to be paid, I will have problems to find internships. No, big no. So it will be easy to do an internship if you really want to. So internships are, our advice is that you formalize them through the faculty with CCEs, and then from academic point of view, they are extracurricular. It means that you cannot claim elective courses from the internships. It's just to complement your CV. The reason is data science is a very wide and broad field. Take the time during the master to learn as much as possible with all the courses and elective courses. Because if you stop doing elective courses because you did an internship, this is knowledge that you may need for the day tomorrow, right? So as I said, when I was presenting the elective courses, you have there a lot of different things that are not covered in the mandatory courses, right? So it's important you cover reasonably well the contents that data scientists should cover. There is an exception though. You can do the master thesis with curricular internships. So it means that you can go to a company and while you are doing the internship in the company, do your master thesis. Okay? In our jargon, this is modality B or D of the TFM. Modality B, it means the TFM in a local company. D is in a company abroad. I will explain in a while that you can go abroad to do your internship in a company elsewhere. Okay. The second aspect to enrich your CV, mobility and internationalization. I'm a big fan of this option, and I always encourage students to go for it. This is, again, one of the strongest points of our faculty. There are very few faculties out there in Europe that can match the offer we have to go abroad. Right now, we have 202 universities to go abroad in 42 different countries. So it means that you can go for 1 or 2 semesters, okay? So the conditions is, sorry, this is a mistake. So the conditions is you can do 30 or 60 ECTS. 30 means the third semester or the fourth semester, 60 means the third or the fourth. The first or second you need to stay here because they are mandatory courses. So the mobility is always in the second year, the whole year or one of the 2 semesters. We have plenty of mobility programs, many of them with scholarships. It means that you are accepted, you are paid a bit. You are not going to become rich with the money you get from these frameworks, you can believe me, especially the Erasmus Plus and so on, but it's a help, okay? We have agreements with CERN that our students go there in this kind of mobility, the Erasmus Plus that most probably you know, and this is the most popular one, but there are others like the Unitec or frameworks with Latin America, the States, Canada. We have a specific mobility programs with Japan and China. We also have double degrees. What is the difference between a mobility and a double degree? When you move abroad to do mobility, you spend 1 or 2 semesters, come back, and these courses that you have done abroad, they are recognized at the faculty, okay? And they just appear as courses that you took in your degree. When you do a double degree, it's specific with some mobility. Right now we have 1 double degree, but we are about to sign 2 more, okay? Where if you go to this mobility, besides taking the Master of Data Science from FIB, you also get the title, the degree from the hosting university. So you get 2 titles instead of 1, okay? So the one that it's already approved, and there if you want to go, is with the University of Padova, but we have 2 more on the making that most probably you as students will be able to benefit from them. There is also the possibility to do internships abroad. It means you are not going for a whole semester or for the whole year. What you are doing is just going to do an internship in a company abroad. This can be done in a company or in a research center. Also in a department of a university, because a department of a university can be considered a research center. There are calls for this, specific for this. For example, Erasmus Plus also considers that you may go to a university, to a company, sorry, not only university. And then there are several others. And I said, this also includes academic institutions as research centers. So you go there and do kind of an internship, research internship or professional internship, depending on the kind of institution you are heading. And then there are also other activities. I don't want to, or I don't have the means because this is not cheap sometimes to move abroad, and there are people who cannot really go for it. But then there are very specific activities that sometimes they are attached with grants as well, that you may want to go for short stays or summer schools or summer internships. For example, the Google Summer Code or the CERN Stay, that they are only during summer. We have a website that you can go here, and then as a students, all the options you have to do mobility is in the outgoing option. Okay, it's for people who are students and go somewhere else. The bad news about mobility, there is quite a lot of bureaucracy to do. There are papers there, right? And there are deadlines, and you need to follow quite some tasks before being accepted. For this reason, we have a calendar. In this calendar, we inform you of what are the calls that are open to apply, okay? So right now, at this time of the year, obviously there is almost nothing, so things that happen in summer, like the Google Summer of Code, but you see here, even if they are closed, you can see all the applications that went through, no? For example, applications through the Erasmus Plus framework to Latin America, Russia, Taiwan, China, and double degrees. It's in one side. Then you have, well, this is a specific event at Paris, but then you have applications for mobility in the States, for the Vulcanus project, to Japan, so on and so forth. All this appears here. If you're interested in mobility, this should be in the shortcuts of your browser, okay? Just to be sure that you don't miss the period. Nevertheless, since this is pretty bureaucratic, we do 2 information sessions for people interested in mobility. Because if you want to move during the second year, you need to apply during the first year, okay? There is quite a big latency. So we do 2 information sessions. This is from this year, so they passed, but I keep them here because basically we always follow the same pattern. So the first information session is mid-November. This is for applications during the first semester, and mid-February for the second semester. So you need to be aware of the calendar, look when the right program is open for your interest, and then apply on time, okay? We also have our team of international relationships that can help you with whatever doubt you have in this matter. In general, if you are interested in doing mobility, you need to start caring about this during the first year. So during the first semester, you should already start asking and finding details about the mobility. But in my opinion, this is a very good opportunity to improve your CV. This is really added value. You are showing that you can stay in another culture, in another environment, and also perform there, and you have a broader view of life, no? Not just from your local place. The next way I want to discuss with you that you can add value to your CV is via research and innovation. As I said, data science has a strong connection with research and innovation. And one way, if you don't want to do an internship in a company and you would like to explore the research side, you can do it with a research group at UPC. There are plenty of research groups at UPC, plenty, on whatever you can think of. I just list here the areas we are covering related to data science. You have research groups in mathematics, in business administration, in computer architecture, in physics, services and information systems, computer science, statistics and operational research, and automating, basically systems engineering. Okay. For each of these areas, you have like plenty of research groups. So if you check the amount of research groups we have at FIP related to these domains, it can be more than 2 slides full of research groups. So really, you can find your interest there. And the good news about this is that, as I said at the beginning, UPC is a very research-oriented university. It means that most of the lecturers, if not all, in the data science master, they are people doing research. So it means that they participate in top projects of research, like the H2020 project, which is the main fundraising way of from the European Union to put into contact companies with universities. UPC was the leading university in Spain and one of the top in Europe raising funds from these projects. Also, we are leading creating startups, spin-offs, and doing technology transfer in Spain, right? And again, one of the top institutions in Europe. And something that maybe you are not aware of is that despite being a technological university, is one of the first universities who had a Center for the Development Cooperation, which is also a nice way to collaborate, right? So here you can have projects that participate with undeveloped countries or having an impact from the social aspect. So this is a way to complement, is instead of just going to an internship to a company, do some research in a research group, right? How do you do, or how do you formalize this? First, you need to get in contact with a research group that you are interested in, find if there is a position available, and then you need to formalize it, okay? How do you formalize it? Either with an internship, so via CCEs, okay? Or with a research grant. This is a specific kind of contract that you sign with the departments inside the university, and also both of them are paid as well, okay? The good news is that since UPC is quite dynamic in research, research groups are typically always looking forward for people who want to do research and participate in the research groups. And final, social life. Okay, studying is important, but it's also important to have a life, no, aside the studies. In this sense, FIP is also pretty active. We have a website where you can find all the social activities. The most important one is all the associations led by students. So the students at FIP, they created their own associations. They are not specific of the Faculty of Informatics. They belong to UPC in general. But here is people who just have an interest and they gather together in an association, fully ruled by students. The university, the only thing is that providing support, but everything is done by the students. And some of these associations are pretty big. For example, you may have heard of Hack UPC or the Game Jam. Hack UPC is the biggest hackathon organized by students in Europe. This is organized by Hackers UPC. So there is a lot of life here around the associations that can also be interesting. It's another way to contribute with whatever you like and do something different. Also, there are a lot of events that the people around the faculty are creating during the whole year. Summer schools, talks, workshops, hackathons, datatons. I mean, there are a lot of things. They are typically promoted via our website or our social networks. And just keep an eye open and participate if you are interested. In the side of data science, there are quite a lot of things. For example, this last week, we had the Women in Data Science. We will be organizing a summer school in data science also this July in Barcelona. The top process is talent to attract women to STEM, and hackathons, datatons. I mean, there are a lot of events going on. Okay. Okay, so besides this, enrollment and procedure. So how to apply to this master? So you need to follow these 6 steps, okay? So the first one is you need to register all your information. There is a link. I will show you in a while where this link is. There you need to enter all your personal and academic details. And then once you are sure that you want to be evaluated, you need to pay a tax of 30 euro. At that moment, when you pay the tax, your application reaches the faculty and the commission that will evaluate your profile. The commission will make a decision, and then you need to check the decision, hopefully positive, and then you must accept the position that you were granted in case of accepted. This is important because we typically give you a week to get or decline the position. This is because this master has quite a big demand. So if someone gets a position and doesn't accept it, we will go to the next one in the waiting list. Okay. So this is to guarantee that the seats do not remain empty and all of them are full. So we will prioritize people who clearly want to follow the master. Okay. So if you are positively assessed and accepted in the master, you will have around 1 week to make your decision. Okay. Otherwise, this position will be assigned to somewhere else. And how do you accept the place? Well, accepting it, no, and saying that explicitly that you want to come, but also paying 300 euros. These 300 euros are not a tax like the 30 euro that I said before. These 300 euros will be deducted from your first enrollment. Okay, this is just advanced, and is the money that you lose if you later do not come to the master. This is just to guarantee that people will come and will not leave empty spaces, nothing else. Again, this is because, as I said, this master has quite a big demand, and we don't want to leave empty spaces, okay? So finally, there is 1 day to do the enrollment. Typically, enrollment is the last week of July. And then here is when you provide all the documentation, you select the courses of the first semester, and you are officially a master student. Important dates for the pre-enrollment. So I mean the pre-enrollment, it means steps 1 and 2. We have the dates between the 27th of February to the 26th of May. Okay, we divide it in 2 periods. The first one already passed. It was the 21st of April, but still, don't worry, you have time to apply. The second period is till the 26th of May, and then the tentative answer time will be 2nd June. Okay. You can get 3 answers from the Commission. So first is accept, which means that you are in. Okay, and if you accept and you pay the 300 euros, your position is guaranteed. The second one is waiting list, which means that you have enough background to follow the master, but you were not prioritized on the top 40 positions. We have 40 positions for this master every year. And the third one is reject. Reject is only given if your background is not enough to follow the master. Okay. If for whatever reason during these 2 periods all the positions are not filled, we have a 3rd period, but I can already tell you that this is not the case of this master. This master typically is full after the 2 first periods. So please, if you want to apply, do it before the 26th of May. Okay. What is important to apply is that please go to the admission criteria of the data science master in the masters.fib.upc.edu, because there you will see what is the criteria that the Commission is going to consider. One advice from my side, typically I see that applicants think that there is too much effort or weight to the marks of the bachelor. And of course, good marks in the bachelor are important. But what the Commission is going to evaluate positively here is to have a diverse cohort. Data science is by default a very broad, very heterogeneous profiles, right? So we evaluate very positively to have different kinds of profiles in the same cohort. Okay, it's not that we want a kind of a replica of the same kind of person. It's not the case. So please just provide information why you want to do the master, what is the future perspective that you think this can come to you, what is the added value you can bring to your cohort, what is the added value you can bring to the others, no? So carefully check the admission criteria and write a relevant motivation letter, because there is a motivation letter, mandatory one, and this is important, okay? So to do the pre-enrollment, so you need to go to the masters.fib.upc.edu, select the data science master, scroll down, you will find this, and the pre-enrollment starts clicking on this blue button. Fill here all your information, personal and academic, and then when you finish filling everything, you just pay the tax, and this reaches the Commission. Okay. Important. Sometimes you write to us saying this button to pay the tax doesn't appear. If it doesn't appear, it's because you forgot to put either some personal or academic information. This button doesn't appear until everything, absolutely all the information asked, is provided. Okay. So the prices for the MDS, the prices if you are a local student from the European Union is 27.67 euros per ECTS. From people outside the European Union is 69.17. This is because the university, and in general all the universities in Spain, they distinguish if you are a taxpayer or you are not a taxpayer. Okay, so the price is cheaper for ones than for others. Nevertheless, the defined prices for next year are set always in July. Okay, so you will be accepted in a master when you know the final prices. Okay. This is published by the local government, the Government de la Generalitat, in July. We have a link where this is updated at the moment, so whenever we have the new prices, this is updated here. But as a bottom line, there is an agreement in the last years that there are perspectives to even reduce for local students the price to 17.69 euros in the midterm. Okay, this is just to promote STEM in the society, because as you may know, there is a lack of engineering skillful people and a gap of this kind of profiles, and especially in data science. No? So this is a commitment from the local government. We will see in July if this price goes down or stays the same. I think it's pretty safe to say that this is an upper bound of the price per ECTS. Okay. And finally, our masters are quite in a good demand in the market, so the result is that we have quite a lot of companies and organizations. They are willing to grant students with bursaries during the master. If you are interested in this, we have a link in the website, which here you can find the link. You will find here all the grants that will appear in case you are interested. So what happens typically is that a company, for example, pays all your fees during the master, and then they expect you to do internships with them. Okay. There are some organizations that they are non-profit and they just are promoting this kind of studies, and then they are not expecting you to do internships with them. So it depends on the kind of organization, right? So this is the link of grants that we offered last year. Grants are available after the enrollment. So it means that in July, September is when you need to apply to grants. It's after you get accepted in the master. So now it's too early to know which are the grants that we will be offering, but again, we left here the grants from last year, so you have an idea of what companies or organizations they were offering grants. But these are grants that are specific for our masters, okay? And you may want to be, if you are interested in them, please keep an eye to this link. And then the last slide about the frequently asked questions. The typical question we get is that if you are finishing your undergraduate studies, if you can apply to the master if you still don't have the final degree, right? And yes, you can be admitted. If you applied without finishing the bachelor, means that you have a conditional acceptance. It means that before the end of October, beginning of October, right? Before the beginning of October, you need to have the bachelor finished, included the final bachelor thesis, okay? There is an exception to this rule, is if you are bachelor students from UPC. But this casuistic is not that easy. We have a specific talk for this. If you are interested in this line, there is a talk on the 3rd of May. So please get in contact with us if you are interested in this option. If you are a FIP student in RACO, we already put an announcement there that you may be interested in attending. There is a way for UPC students to do the master, start the master without finishing the bachelor. If you are not UPC, then the rule is the one that is in this slide, okay? By beginning of October, you need to have completed your bachelor. The second question that we get pretty often is, can I work and study at the same time? And obviously, yes. Okay, so it means that you can do internships, you can have your own job contract, okay? But then what you typically are recommended to do is to take the master part-time. Part-time means that at most per semester, you can take 18 ECTS, not 30, 18. But then you have extra semesters to finish the master, okay? So you are stretching the master, but then you can easier combine work and studies. If this is the option that you want to go through, and if you apply to the master and are accepted, my advice is that you contact the coordinator of the master, which is myself, right? Just to know which are the courses that you should take in the first semester. Depending on your background, since you have to take 18 ECTS, not the 30, it's better to start with one or another, depending on your background, okay? So just contact me before doing your enrollment if you want to do the master part-time. About COVID-19, we don't have we don't foresee any problem, and lecturing will be face-to-face unless another pandemic hits us, hopefully not. And the last question is, what if you are a new incoming student, how is enrollment performed? This is one of the good things after the pandemic, is enrollment now is online, and it will remain online. So it means that the last week of July, you get an hour and a day where you need to formalize your enrollment, okay? You need to do it online. So you can do it from the beach. If you have Wi-Fi, then it's fine, okay? So the thing is that you don't need to come to the faculty to do the enrollment. What if you need to bring some papers? If you need to bring some papers or the faculty asks you to do some additional documentation, you can bring it in September before starting the lectures. But in this case, the administration will contact you and let you know exactly what you need to do and when and how, okay? And from my side, this is all. In case you have questions about the administrative aspects, so how to apply, what documents I need to apply, I need to provide, and so on, please use infomasters@fip.upc.edu. If you have academic questions, for example, what kind of job I will be able to follow what is this course about, what kind of education I will get in, I don't know, machine learning, contact the academic responsible, which is me at this address here, okay? And that's it from my side. So now we will open just a turn for questions. We will start with the people here in the room. For those online, please write your question in the chat. So the chat is already open and you can write. We will answer your questions in order. So people who write a question there, then later I will read the question and provide an answer. While you write your question, let's start with people here, face to face. If you have any question, any of you?
The schedule of the masters is already available?
For the courses?
Yes, if it's...
Yes, you can check it in the local web of the FIB, so fib.upc.edu. If you go to the Master of Data Science and you check there the schedule, you can select the courses and you will see how they are scheduled. This master is scheduled in the afternoon because a lot of our students are working, so it's done on purpose so people can combine easily if they are doing it part-time. The only exception are some elective courses, because some elective courses are shared with other masters, so we cannot guarantee that all of them will be in the afternoon. The mandatory courses, all of them are in the afternoon. The elective courses, most of them are in the afternoon.
Okay, thanks.
More questions? You're fine?
If we already pre-enrolled before the 21st of April, we should get a response before the 28th of April?
We will take an extra week because we had quite a few applications, so we will stretch it. So most probably, if you already applied, you will get, if you didn't get a message stating this, that we will stretch, we will answer the latest 1 week later, which I think is 5th of May. We will try to answer earlier, but the thing is that there are quite some submissions and we need to go through them with care, so it will take a bit more than expected.
Okay, thanks.
You change your mind?
Just wanted to ask, can someone transfer studies from another country inside of EU to university?
At the master level, yes.
Yeah.
So you took another master in the past?
Yeah, data analytics.
In which university?
University of Hildesheim in Germany.
Okay, so if they are at the same level, it's possible. Then what you need to do is that when you are accepted in the master, you need to contact our administration and ask for this recognition. You will need to provide the transcripts and they will tell you what you need to provide specifically, and then we will check exactly if there is a correspondence in the number of ECTS and content, and if so, you can get some of them recognized.
Okay, thank you so much.
No questions from your side? Okay. So let's go with the ones online. Victor is asking, I have a degree in marine sciences at the UB. Would I be able to apply for the master? I mean, this is a master accepting quite an heterogeneous kind of profile. But let me show you here, 1 second. So if you go to admission here in the website, we explain what we are expecting from the recommended bachelor degree. So obviously, if you are a bachelor in computer science or mathematics, this is fine, but there are many other bachelors that can be assimilated to these two, and they are also fine. For example, here we listed those that we had quite a lot of students in the past from these studies, no? Physics, statistics, telecommunications in general. So in general, for example, this marine science that you are asking about, what we check is first, if you have a strong mathematical background. Okay, so please just refer to this website just to know exactly what we are expecting. But basically, you should have the equivalent to the usual engineering degrees after the 2 or 3 first years. Okay, and the second thing is that you have to have a minor in computer science. So I'm not that familiar with marine sciences. Okay, so most probably better if you contact me directly and you provide a bit more of evidences. I will be able to let you know, Victor, if you are a kind of profile that can be accepted or not in the master. Okay. But as I said, this is a master with quite a lot of heterogeneity and bachelors. What we check is a strong mathematical background and a minor in computer science. Okay. Mikael is asking where will be the video posted. So we just need to process it after being recorded. So I guess that in 2-3 days we will update it, and then typically if you go here to the Master of Data Science, it will appear here, the presentation and the video. Right now you have the video of the last year, so we will replace these elements here, the video and the slides with the talk of this year. Okay, will appear here in the masters.fib.upc.edu, and if you go to the Master of Data Science. Brenda is asking if the master is done part-time, it can only be applied to the first 3 semesters, right? The 4th semester must be taken at once, yes? So typically when you are at part-time is because you are working or doing an internship, then it's supposed that the master thesis is going to be done there in what you are studying or you are doing your internship. So then the master thesis is supposed to be done the 30 CTS in 1 semester. Yes, you're right. What I didn't say is that if you are part-time, so there is the permanence regulation of the master. Basically, to stay in the master, you need to fulfill 2 things. First, to pass a minimum number of ECTS during the first year, which is 15. Yeah. And the second is that you need to finish the master in 6 semesters, right? So if you are part-time, you have an extra semester. So you have 7 to finish the master, if I'm right. Julieta is asking, a minor in computer science means some subjects about computer science in Spanish universities, I mean. Yeah. So, I mean, I know that in Spain, for example, we don't have the concept of minor, but then what we check is that you have some basic courses on computer science, no? So, like typical algorithms, databases, this kind of stuff, no? Basic stuff that you would need to deal with data. Okay. Nevertheless, for those of you that do not major in computer science, remember that in the first semester you have a course, which is this one here, Algorithms, Data Structures and Databases, that are meant for these people. Especially there is a track specific for people not majoring in computer science that you will go deep into these topics here. So you need to have foundations as to follow this course here. So you can check the content of the course and see if with what you did, you could be able to follow this course, okay? Any other question? I was very clear this time. We have very few questions in this section, in this talk. No more questions?
Well,
1 second that she will bring the mic.
Again, with the pre-enrollment, when I did it, I said that, well, I didn't finish my bachelor, so I have to put that I have a 5 yes. That won't be a problem when you well.
So you put a mark of 5 for what? For the bachelor thesis?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I didn't finish my bachelor.
But this is the right way to do it? Okay, so if you follow the instructions from the administration, it's fine. Don't worry that this is okay then. So if there are no more questions, then we will stop here. So first of all, let me thank you, all of you, for your interest in our master. And no, last time question, Joanne is saying, I would like to know more about part-time enrollment. When should we communicate that we want to do the master part-time? The first time you enroll, you are asked if you want to do the master part-time or not. So at that moment, you choose. Okay, so it's the first time you enroll. Afterwards, in the subsequent enrollments, you will not be asked again, but you can change the modality if you communicate with our administration. Obviously, with some common sense, we will not be allowed someone just to be jumping from one to another modality all the time, right? But if there is a good reason, this is possible to change later. But you make this choice in the first enrollment. And Oliver is asking, I'm Mexican and working in the USA, planning to apply for part-time. What is the minimum stay in Barcelona? What is the minimum stay in Barcelona? What do you mean by minimum stay? So the master is 2 years, right? If you are doing it part-time, it will go above 2 years for sure, because you can do 18 ECTS at most per semester, except the one in the master thesis. So you should count for 2 years and a half, 3 years, depending on how fast you are with your courses, right? So I mean, the thing is that you need to apply typically for a studies visa, and this visa is renewed as long as you are meeting the requirements to continue in the master. Brenda is asking, are the subjects yearly? That is, if a subject is suspended, I have to wait 1 year. Yes. So you see here, for example, the courses in semester 1 and semester 2, it's in this semester of the year. So for example, if you fail data warehousing, you need to wait till the semester of autumn of the next year, as you cannot do it during the second semester. This is a good point, because this happens also with elective courses. You need to plan ahead, because not all the elective courses are done every semester. It depends on the course. They are done in one semester or another, second or third. So when you start the master, it's good to plan ahead, know what course you are going to do in each semester, so that you can choose all the elective courses you are interested in. To know this information when each of these courses is taken, you can go to our main website at fib.upc.edu. I can do it here so you see it. Just go to the Master of Data Science. Okay, and then here in the timetables, if you choose some courses, for example, the ones that are the mandatory ones from this semester, right? You have here when they are given, and basically the semester, no? So for example, these ones are the mandatory of the second semester. And here you have the electives. The ones that are active are the ones that are offered right now. All the others that are not active now are the elective courses that are offered in the autumn semester, right? So you have all this information available. You can plan ahead consequently. And Claudia is asking, the exigence of the master is equal to the computer science degree in the UPC, or is it compatible with the alumni working half full time? I mean, the master is demanding. It's not an easy master. I will not tell you the opposite, and there is quite a lot of work in the courses. Okay, so I don't think it's advisable to work and do the master full time. I would not advise that. So if you want to work and study at the same time, you should do it part time. Okay, this is way. I mean, just to stretch and learn during the master, and not to be stressed all day. That would be my advice. Nevertheless, at the end, this is a personal decision. So there are students, and we have had students who did the master working and full time. So this is a personal decision. But typically, when I talk to them, what they say is that they've been quite stressed, no, during the semester, just to meet the requirements of the company and also of the master at the same time. So my advice would be not to do it, but again, this is a personal decision. More questions? One, two, three. Okay, let's conclude then here. Okay, again, thank you everybody for your interest in our master, and hopefully see you as students in answer Joanne. Yeah. No problem. I mean, the very last minute question, there are some mandatory courses that are 12. If we are working full time, how should we do these courses? If you are working full time, is what I said. This is a personal decision. Part time, it means that you should be working in the morning, right? If you are working full time, No, don't worry, Joan. I was kidding. But if you are working full time, you will need to have an agreement with your company that allows you to go to the lectures. Okay, so working full time and taking the master full time is something you need to carefully discuss with your company and see if this is possible or not. When I've seen this option is because then the students are retaking these missing hours at some other point during the week or the semester or whatever. For me, this is very stressful. I would not recommend this, but again, this is very personal. So, but if you see, the courses start at 2 p.m. earlier. Okay, Joan, is that clear? Okay. And unless Joan is typing again, we are done this time. Okay. Thank you for confirming. So thank you, everybody. And if in case you have doubts, remember that in the slides you have the contact information that will be available in a couple of days or 3 days in the website of masters.fib.upc.edu. Again, thank you for your time. See you around.